Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pisswake Airlines, formerly known as Heathrow Airlines. Little in joke. There's no such thing as Heathrow Airlines, except on this channel, thanks to a Nigerian scammer, but that's a story for another day. It's a pleasant 9 degrees Celsius. A little bit blurry, not going to lie. Currently 7:12 a.m. Yes, departing home a little bit later than usual. And the price to pay for that will be crawly traffic. But the benefit of that will be I might be able to actually, that dude's banging it, I might be able to read a bit more chat than usual if it's a bit more crawly. Got my coffee, got my lip balm. Welcome aboard. I hope you brought your own snacks and drinks because you don't get any of that shit on this flight. Budget. Good morning, Deb. Welcome aboard. If you could inform all future passengers that they haven't brought their own snacks and drinks, they're fucked because we don't provide that shit. We provide engaging conversation on the morning commute, allegedly. Drive therapy opens, it's an open topic this morning. I do have something I want to rant about at some point, but it is to do with gangbangs and it's only 7:13. So I feel like it's something I want to address maybe a bit closer to town. It's a bit of a heavy topic for 7:13 in the morning. Let's have a crack at it at 7:36 or something at least. Educated banter. So yes, this will be an opportunity. It's like an open platform for Monday morning, Sunday evening issues. Back to the good old-fashioned drive therapy, although now it's flight therapy, of days gone by on this channel where everyone could just, well, I mean, everyone still can if there's something that's just niggling them. But like I said, I do want to talk about the definition of gangbang. It all makes sense when I discuss it. But that's one of the latest bullshit, crazy, wackadoo things happening on YouTube. A fight over the definition of gangbang. I thought I'd just weigh in as a lawyer. I got to give the legal ramifications, if any, as in there aren't, of participating in a gangbang. Oh, look, let's leave it till we're closer to town. Let's enjoy the serenity, Deb. Doesn't look like it's going to be a busy flight, so you might just have to listen to my rant. But I just want, well, no, I don't, because if a day occurs where there's just nothing absolutely ridiculous happening on YouTube, that's the day I'll hang up my YouTube gloves. So I hope there's never a day where something on YouTube doesn't make me go, are you fucking kidding me? But it's just, I cannot believe the professionalism at raising the bar that these fucking idiots are so bloody good at. But they raise the bar with, well, what appears to be minimal effort, but to an onlooker, it's an extraordinary leap, far above the heights you felt that they would ever achieve. And yeah, the current, well, not the current, one of the many current topics that has some creators in hot debate and feuding over is regarding gangbangs, of all things. And I'm not even sure if any of the people heavily invested in this debate have even participated in one, but they've got pretty firm views about it. Educated banter about gangbangs. Exactly, Jeb. Welcome, lurkers. Welcome aboard Piss Week Airlines. This morning we are doing plane therapy. You've got about 45 minutes to get things off your chest. On the YouTube world, it can be issues in the real world. It can be the shits, and you just like to process the story, share the story, process the replies. Oh, we're back. How do you speak? Yeah. Well, that's an easy job for me as a therapist. Completely inexperienced, no qualifications at all. Uh, Deb, weirdly, I thought about you and your bowl this morning, and I thought about it because I spotted my bowls while I was doing, I don't know what, I might have been making a cuppa or whatever, but I actually feel that bowl is going to become so fucking useful on your boat. I seriously had this thought this morning. It was inspired by my Pyrex bowls. That bowl's going to become so useful on your boat that you're going to end up loving it. Like, you're going to think it's beautiful. And the thing of beauty is a joy forever. I feel like that bowl is going to carry you to the end of your life and will be your trusty, reliable companion. And at some point, you will look at it one day and just go, my gosh, you're beautiful. Ah, yes, the Monday morning chaos. You're leaving it to me. Well, thank you. Although I suspect I'll be gone long before you, but thank you. I appreciate. I wonder if Susan Neil Fraser had a bowl like that on was it called Tradewind? What was the name of their boat? A Pyrex bowl would be quite a good murder weapon. They're very solid. I could certainly put a dent in a skull. You did look at it. Four Winds, that's right. Well, she's out and about now. She's out in the wild. She's free as a bird. Well, she's actually not. She's on parole, so they're still going to check it in on her, you know. She didn't get the apology and the pardon. She got the go out in the wild, but you're on parole, so we're going to be calling you and you're going to be calling us for the rest of your life. Was it next to the boat? Ah, did you know them at all? People get charged with murder if no bodies are found all the time. Chris Dawson? Where's Lynette? Happens all the time. So many people are convicted of murder when bodies aren't found. If there's enough evidence that the most reasonable conclusion that doesn't have any components of reasonable doubt, then charges can be laid, and they're laid. It happens all the time. I'm always surprised by that being proffered as a defence for someone who's been charged, because my brain's not in cases at the moment that I can reel off my head. But I mean, Liesl Smith is one who, her killer would have been charged if he hadn't have ended his life, and her body's never been found. Yeah, it was quite the crime scene. I mean, sometimes people just choose good places to hide bodies. Bodies get munched on in the ocean. People search in the wrong places. They get tips that throws them off the scent. But yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of people who have been convicted of murder when a body hasn't been found. It's the same when people go, oh, it's a tough one because it's all circumstantial evidence. Do you know that more murders are based on circumstantial than actual evidence? Because not many people kill people in front of other people. So the way you get a conviction is you put all your circumstantial evidence ducks in a row. Giddy up. I hear a lot of true crime YouTubers say that a lot about circumstantial evidence. Oh, it's not a very strong case because it's circumstantial evidence. Most convictions for murder are in circumstantial evidence cases. I never met them either, but I wish they'd found a better photo of him, you know, for all the stories that we've seen in print over the years. That photo of him on Four Winds, you know, was that the best photo you could offer up? And then when she got paroled, there was a photo of the pair of them sitting in a hot tub. And I'm like, okay, all right, you've found a happier photo, but I'm not sure this is much of an improvement. So it sounds like your Susan is innocent camp, correct? You always thought that too. I know. You made him look like a grumpy bastard. Didn't evoke a lot of sympathy. People went looking at that photo of Bob and thinking, what a shame, the planet's lost a happy-go-lucky guy. He looked like a grumpy little hobbit who for some reason just happened to be on a boat. Because hobbits don't really sail, you know. They're not known for it. It's just you and me, Deb. Mind you, I've noticed there's a heap of channels on YouTube that, like, big channels, Like I saw one the other day that has 900,000 subscribers that had 14 people in the chat. And that's sort of, benchmarky kind of numbers that Finn and I get for Batshit, which I love. I love our Batshit crowd. But it's an interesting platform to sort of watch. Not that I put any importance on people watching. I can't stand it when creators who only have a couple of hundred people watching them is because they're fucking train wrecks. And some of us just need some comic relief on YouTube from time to time. Or they're hanging on every word because that person's known to say contentious or stupid things. Who craps on about other channels and the views they get. But it's interesting when you see like a really big channel that's only got, 14, 15 people in their chat. Yeah, you can't make your mind up on it. Yeah, I'm sort of in that. I'm sort of in that camp too, but I think it's largely because the whole investigation was a fucking schmozzle. I don't know. I've had very passionate, long debates with Charles Woolley about it because he's very pro Sue's innocent, and has actually done a story on 60 Minutes about her. But even with all of his eloquence and his full understanding of the trial, his arguments are not compelling enough to convince me that he's right. Like, he's certainly able to do the sort of devil's avocado, throw a few spanners in the works to get you raising your eyebrow a little bit and going, okay, well, that's an interesting point. But even with all of those points lined up in a row, the cumulative effect still isn't enough to convince me. Yeah, and I mean, that girl's been historically unreliable and given different versions. And I know her DNA was definitely on the boat, right? So, but that's what I mean. The whole thing's just an absolute mess. Yeah, she's lied and taken statements back, and she's been incredibly unreliable. I don't think Charles interviewed her. That was a guy in Melbourne who did that interview. Charlie did a story about Sue. The interview in Melbourne was that Liam dude, I think. But anyway, at what point do you make money on YouTube? Well, I make money on YouTube. I mean, I make enough for us to sponsor the little critters. I can see very easily, not very easily at all, actually. It's very difficult. I can see how some people can make a lot of money on YouTube, but you basically need to be doing it full time. And I hate being behind trucks like this where you can't see. Like, they're wider than you, so they block your view. You can't see through any windows. You're basically just driving behind a wall. Like when you're behind a bus or a big truck. And this ute was slamming its brakes on earlier when there were cars nowhere near it in front of it. And it's kind of like, what are you doing? So I'm keeping a bit of a distance because I don't know what the fuck is going on. But B, he seems a bit brake. Oh, no, he's fairly close to a car now. Okay. He wasn't before. I was like, why are you slamming your brakes on? Oh, Carleen Bryant. Oh, hello, Scout. Beautiful Sunny is actually, she didn't, she worked out I was going to work this morning and just accepted it. She was busily preening herself when I left. She was cleaning her face and making herself pretty for the day. And I told her to, she has a very important job today. She's got to look after the house. I said, you're the best girl to do that job. But she didn't seem to be overly um, distraught at me leaving her today. I didn't get the guilt trip. I'm great, Scat. How are you doing, beautiful? Thought we'd just do an open panel drive therapy. Deb and I have been talking about a woman who has been in prison here for 12 years, I think, for murdering her husband, who got paroled last week. But it's one of those stories that people are so divided on it. There's either the she's as guilty as sin crowd, or she's completely innocent. And then there's a heap of people in the middle, like Deb and I, who just don't know. Can see arguments in both directions. I mean, to be honest, Deb, and I don't really, I kind of lent a bit more towards guilt than innocence for a long time. And then after having a chat with Charlie, I probably got a bit closer to the middle, but I reckon there's still a tiny little bit of guilty in my mind. But I don't know if it's because everything's just such a mess that it's impossible to get your head around it and actually look at the evidence and line everything up in a row, because I don't believe you can in this case, because there are just so many fucking errors along the way. And then throw unreliable witnesses into the mix, and but if she is completely innocent and honestly has no idea what happened to him, then it sucks that she's just spent 12 years in prison. And she deserves to be pardoned, not paroled. But, yeah. Oh, it's a ripper. I mean, I kind of want to do it on my channel, but it's been a very contentious subject in Tassie, and I'd probably get all the free Sue Neal-Fraser crowd coming in en masse and heckling me, and I wasn't really prepared for that. It's probably worth looking at it now and just seeing what everyone thinks, because it's a fucking mess. Like, it is. And that's why I'm interested in the Kylie Rodney story, because that's another fucking mess. I mean, it's not fair on her or her family or her friends, but it's the ineptitude and the mistakes that can be made, and that sort of ripple effect that they have, that people get to a point where they really can't make up their mind either way, because there've been so many errors and just confusing twists and turns. You know what I mean? Like, it's Susan Neal-Fraser is another story that just is not black and white. You can't just go from the beginning to the end and reach a conclusion. And maybe, I don't know, maybe doing it might be a bit like teacher's pet. We might, pardon me. Sorry, guys, I'm still getting over my sickness of last week. But maybe us discussing it might be a bit like teacher's pet. Like, if we go in it with an open mind and just see how we feel by the end of it. But, I mean, I have actually had conversations with a mate of mine who's a journo on 60 Minutes, who's very pro her innocence and has done a story about it on 60 Minutes. And he still didn't convince me that she's innocent. So, I don't know. It's a doozy. It's an absolute fucking doozy. And then you've got witnesses, alleged witnesses, who confess and then retract their confessions, and these sort of street kids dabbling in drugs, unreliable, changing their stories, just to add to the confusion. And then you've sort of got all the practical realities or impossibilities of it, like this fairly small-framed woman even being able to lift the dead weight of a dead body of her husband over the edge of a boat and then somehow disposing of his body. Like, yeah, it's got many twists and turns. But it's one where if I was on a jury, and based on all the conversations I've had about it, I would have to acquit on the basis of a reasonable doubt. Even though part of me feels at times that it's like watching pardon me, like a pendulum. This case, like, it's sort of everyone's kind of just swinging a little bit in the middle, and then some evidence or some information is discussed that makes the pendulum start going towards guilty, and then the next day something makes the pendulum swing more towards innocent. I think it's about 14 years ago. She's just been released from prison after being in prison for about 12 years. So I think Deb might be able to tell you. I can't remember off the top of my head, but factoring in how long it takes a matter to get before the court, but yeah, 2010 was when she went to jail. So, maybe 2017. Sorry, 7 or 8. Something in there, mate, in that region. But it's basically the story of Sandy Bay socialites, which means, like, in Tassie, one of our posher suburbs is Sandy Bay. He was a doctor. They owned a yacht. He's gone to the yacht to do some work on it, as you do, because Deb will vouch. Boats are a never-ending hole where you throw your money. Just like horses, Deb's a sucker for the things you like. You need to throw money into a hole never-endingly. Good grief. And then she, the wife, and she's the second wife. That kind of scenario. Went down to see him at the boat, and then the next day the boat is discovered partly sinking and blood on the boat and no sign of Bob. Bob's gone. And then you need to throw into the mix drug addicted street kids who would steal things off boats to buy drugs, or also just go and swim out to boats and sit on them and use their drugs. One girl in particular who's changed her story several times, and her DNA was found on the boat. But then there's all this other weird evidence, like Susan telling her brother that she's going to kill Bob, and Susan's cardigan being found down at the reserve, even though she denied being there. And like, there's just so many twists, and then you've got to throw into the mix cops who really had no fucking idea what they were doing, and yeah. 14, yeah, I got it right. Woohoo! Go me. You've always got to look at the the year they were convicted, and then deduct. It's usually about 2 years for it to get to court. But there's been a lot of pressure with her case from the start, and due to her declining health. But to be honest, like, look, don't get me wrong. If I had a friend who was charged and convicted of murder, and I was 100% believed in their innocence, I would go out of my way to have them freed. And Susan had definitely had a huge free Sue Neill-Fraser support base behind her. But some of those people were absolutely fanatical and very aggressive and very argumentative, or very secretive. Like, there were always these sorts of, I don't know, negative kind of vibes around some of her most fanatical supporters, and it really didn't help her case. Like, their intentions were good, but they actually, I think, added to the confusion of many about whether or not she was innocent because of how aggressive they were, and they also weren't open to explaining their position and why they believed she was innocent, which, again, I can't stand people that are so fired up about something and you want to learn about it and you ask some questions and they go, well, it's not my job to explain to you why she's innocent. And it's like, well, you're the Free Sue Neill-Fraser group, so it kind of is. And I'm standing here wanting to hear what you have to say. So educate me. Teach me. Give me the info. Because if you get me on your side, I'll join in. I'm all for innocent people being released from prison if they've been wrongfully convicted. Holy shit. Have a great day too, Deb. But yeah, if you're going to be a member of a group that's pushing any sort of agenda and you're passionate about it, when you have people wanting you to elaborate and explain and give you information to help you make an informed decision or possibly even pick up the pitchfork and join the gang, you got to talk to them and explain stuff. It's not okay to go, well, it's not my job to explain that to you. It's kind of like, well, it is. In fact, that is entirely what your job is. It's to inform people and get people fired up and joining the cause and marching on the streets demanding that Sue is released from prison. That's precisely what a free somebody from prison campaign is aiming to do. Rally the troops. Or you get the people that were, I can't read chat at the moment. I don't know how many of you are finding this topic interesting anyway, but, um, or you'd get the people in the same group that were very cloak and dagger and mysterious. You know, oh, be careful what you say to her. She believes Sue's innocent, and it's like, that's why I want to speak with her, because I'm in the murky middle bit. I don't know. Or they'll trap you like, do you think Sue's innocent? I go, I'm not sure. And then they berate you for that stance, but then don't give you their reasons why you should change your stance. It's just weird. Odd. So, yes, Scout, I mean, I'm still keen to do more Teacher's Pet stuff. I'm just so busy at the moment. Like, I legitimately do not have much time to be online. And if I do, it's really weird times that nobody's around. But one thing that's happened since I last went live is all the flights to Singapore for January are booked. Woohoo! My sister, niece, and I are off to Singapore in January. I can't wait. And my birthday happens to be in the week that we're there. So I'm going to have a Singaporean birthday. I'm very excited about that. My sister-in-law is already planning things. She said, I won't go overboard, but would you let me do a bit of event management for your birthday? I was like, bring it on. Hell yeah. So that's a bit exciting. Yeah, a valid explanation would be nice. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind discussing the Neil Fraser thing. I mean, I will probably attract some angry people. Because it's another one of those cases where I think the majority of people like Deb and I are in the middle, sort of not sure either way. But the people that are really, really, really into it seem to have this view that it's very black and white. You're either innocent or guilty, and the people in the murky middle bit shouldn't be there. Like it should be either you're 100% convinced she's innocent or 100% convinced she's guilty. So, yeah, I mean, it might be fun to go live and see if there's anyone on YouTube who has followed the case and what position they take. And I'd love to do a chat with my friend Charlie about it too, because he's actually covered it as a journalist. And he's convinced she's innocent. And he's this charming, compelling, funny, brilliant journalist who can convince me to have another course or another serving of a meal at their house, even though I am about to explode. But he couldn't convince me of this woman's innocence. I wonder if he'd do that. I wonder if he'd let me do an interview with him. It would be interesting to have Charlie. It's just one of those things that, because he's primarily my friend, you know, like, as much as he's got an interesting job, he didn't take me with him to the UK when he interviewed Ricky Gervais as his personal assistant. So I'm always going to be a bit grumpy with him about that. But I feel uncomfortable asking favours of people when they're primarily my friends, but it's a topic he's really into, and he's not shy of the camera, so I might ask him. Open a nice cheeky bottle of red wine, and we'll just have a good old chat about it. But if he agrees to do it, the first thing he has to do is, hello, Mary Marlowe. I thought about Mary Marlowe the other day. Does anyone miss her? I do. Does anyone miss Mary Marlowe? I think about her often. Well, not often, but I thought about it the other day. Like, I feel like her ending would have been sad. Whatever. I mean, not ending as in God, I hope not, touch wood, but her decline was sad to witness. But the only reason I get Charlie to do the hello, Mary Marlowe is because she absolutely is besotted with Australian 60 Minutes. And, oh, let's go on this one. She didn't know me from a bar of soap, but I always thought it would have been so cool to... Yeah, Mary Marlowe, it is her name. Hey, Aussie! Oh. Yeah, it's on YouTube, Scout. You have to watch it. It's hilarious. Charlie hung out with Ricky, and I'm furious still to this day because he knows. Charlie saw my face when Ricky Gervais tweeted me years ago, or didn't tweet me, liked one of my tweets. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it's one of Charlie's favourite interviews ever. Unreal Aussie. Well, hello there. Mary was a hoot, and she was a mess too, let's be honest. But she was a fucking character. Some of those OG YouTubers, like you see all the younger, not young as in age, but younger as in newer channels who sort of enter the YouTube arena and feel like they're experts on everything after being there for 5 minutes, and they've got no idea the sorts of characters that we were hanging out with, 4 years ago, not that long ago, who were just so much more interesting and compelling and would challenge your thought processes. I know, Ricky's my fave. And back in the day when not that many people were really into him or knew much about him, because his career really only took off when he was 40. And you do those sort of conversations at parties and stuff like, who's your dream shag? And mine's always been Ricky, just because he's so fun. And I like a good chuckle during sex. I'm not going to lie. It can be a bit off-putting sometimes if people don't know that you are a person who giggles during sex. The first time they're a bit like, what's funny? It's like, sex is funny to me. It doesn't have to be all about fucking candles and being all serious. Like, you could time out Charlie as a payback. Perfect. Well, he keeps saying he wants to catch up, and every time I do catch up with him, time flies because he's so interesting and funny. He's such a larrikin that I often feel like I haven't actually gotten nearly enough time with him. But what I wanted to end on, and I think it's good there's only 4 of you in here, is, and unreal is a good word to use too, Unreal Aussie. I think it's unreal that there's a debate going on in a couple of YouTube communities or a community on YouTube between a few creators about the definition of a gangbang. I know, a bit raunchy at 7:57 a.m. on a Monday morning. But there's division, of course. Now, apparently, if you have ethics and morals and were brought up the right way, that you know that a gangbang is a crime. I'm not going to say the rape word. All there, I said it. Apparently, if you believe a gangbang's rape, then you're from a family who raised you properly and you have ethics and morals. And no, that's not quite the way it works. In the criminal code, you've seen the topic from the day it happened. Yes, I think the first one I heard was the person saying straight up it's a criminal offence. And I was like, no, it's not. It's just it's not just. I'd never have the courage to participate in one, but I do appreciate the kink, and I do think I can see why people have it. But that term... What have I just dropped? Oh, my makeup. Don't be dropping your tube of makeup, Tori. You need that to make your face look reasonable. This will wake you up, Aussie. I know. So essentially, on one camp is saying that a gangbang is rape. And then the people on the other side of the argument are going, no, it's not. It's just one of the many ways you can participate in sexual activity as consenting adults. And really, at the end of the day, the key word with all of this is consent. Now, there's a term known in the industry, gang rape, that specifically refers to non-consensual activities that is criminal. And there's another term called gangbang. And it really does have quite a strong following in the pornography world. It's a popular genre. And that's gangbang. Yeah, grab some coffee, Aussie, because it's just going to get worse. No, it's not. But I can't believe people that say stupid things and then maintain that they're right. Because, no, if you've got consenting adults and they all participate in a gangbang, good on them. End of story. The term gangbang does not mean rape. Gang rape means rape by a gang. And that's really all I have to say on the matter. I can't believe once again we have a creator who said something really stupid. He's now maintaining that the reason they're correct is because they have morals and ethics and they were raised properly. No. I mean, if you are a bit prudish about the gangbang because of your strict upbringing or whatever, that's one thing. But you can't argue that you've got better morals or values than somebody else because you misdefined something and a few people went, you're actually wrong about that, and now you're all butthurt and your defense is, I was raised better than you. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with definitions. And on this occasion, you're wrong. But sure, go live for days on end about it and watch the super chats roll in with other people going, I agree with you. Because I swear to God, if you caught a heap of people in a gangbang and they were all consenting and you dragged them off to the police station and said charge them all with rape because they've just been having a gangbang, the cops would be like, was everyone consenting to this? Yep. And the cops would be like, off you go then. got nothing to do with how you were raised. And what a shitty argument too when you've said something that's not correct. Someone else has called you out. And don't get me wrong, I don't really know the backgrounds of any of these people or how they were raised, but the fact that they are nitpicking and fighting over this when they could simply just... The only thing you have to consider if you're going to make out anything is a crime of that sort of sexual nature is whether or not there was consent. Gang rape implies no consent. Gangbang, heaps of consent. In fact, if you participate in a gangbang for a porn site, they make you all sign a document that you are consenting to this occurring and also being filmed for future use on the porn site. You actually have to give written consent now to participate in such an activity if it has commercial value. Doesn't matter how well you were raised, kiddo, if someone signed a consent form and they weren't under duress. But yeah, what? How? Why can't people just sometimes go, oh, wait, no, I got the term wrong. You're right. I meant gang rape. Yeah, you're right. But no, we're now going to have weeks and weeks and weeks of debate and creators ripping each other to shreds over who believes a gang rape is, gang bang is an offence or not. Maybe it depends on context. Was it said with consent? I'm not sure. I'm not awake enough to understand that comment, Ozzy. I wonder sometimes where do they get their definitions from? Exactly. Yeah, I'm a bit lost too. We all are. A creator was confronted by another creator about a post about... So was it actually a post? See, I didn't know I'm aware of the first person who said that it's a rape, that it's rape. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, straight up. I was listening and I was like, yeah, no, it's not. Might have been on a Click channel or something, but I heard it and went, no, they're wrong. I think they mean gang rape. But then yesterday, driving around doing my errands and bouncing around and listening to clips of people, it seems to now be a hot topic. But I thought it was originally... I'm interested that it was a post because I thought it was originally put out there as a theory about what happened to Kylie Rodney. And I was like, oh, great. So we've had the idiot that continues to maintain there was 5 or 6 other bodies in the car with her. We've got the idiot who said she never even existed. Now we've got people implying and inferring and suggesting that she was involved in a gangbang. Leave the girl alone. If more facts come out, use those facts to speculate and theorise. But my God, how disrespectful. It makes me feel sick. It makes me feel absolutely sick. I mean, there's even a channel that criticised Kylie's mum, who sang a song at her celebration of life, but changed the wording because they're not super religious. So apparently this song had a line about hold you to your mother's breast, and in the original version says to our Saviour's breast or Jesus's breast or God's breast. And people are ripping her to shreds for that. It's like, what? The woman just lost her only daughter, who was only 16, who was heading for a life of amazingness, highly talented, highly intelligent, beautiful girl. And you've got all these fuckers on YouTube showing absolutely no regard. So, yeah, the whole gangbang thing, my first understanding of it was being discussed as a possible scenario about what she got up to that night. Yes, but I'm not sure the creator actually posted it, or if it was an imposter. Supposedly, exactly. Well, that's what I heard too. That's what they were saying, and I was like, wow, this just keeps getting more and more disgusting. And Kylie Rodney's matter is a story and nothing more. It's not a case. But my God, they want it to be one, don't they? Oh. And what about the imposter thing? Is that someone, oh, my account got hacked? How often do people say that on YouTube when they get caught out doing disgusting shit? I was hacked. Really? I've been hacked. I've had my email hacked. I've had my Facebook hacked. Do you know what happened when both of those things happened? Whoever hacked me didn't go onto social media platforms pretending to me saying abominable things and then just vanishing from wherever they came. You know, that's the one thing that's never happened when I've been hacked. You know, they've sent a dodgy as fuck link to my entire address book. Some of my friends who've been hacked have had money taken out of their bank accounts. But none of us have had people going onto our YouTube or Facebook posting absolutely repugnant shit, pretending to be us. Never. Never, ever. But, you know, for some little pissweak YouTube creator, apparently that's the whole point of being hacked is someone wants to say some horrible things using your name to make you look bad. Yeah, right. What's in it for the hacker? Seriously. I mean, I admittedly did go into an internet cafe many years ago and someone had, back before we even had, you know, like little laptops to travel with and shit like that, and someone hadn't logged out of their Facebook, and I might have put a cheeky status update that was more entertaining than anything else. Because I actually put in brackets, PS, next time log out of your Facebook account when you use the internet cafe. But that's not really hacking. But the other thing is, you know, these people who do and say awful things and get caught and then claim they were hacked. Isn't it funny how the hackers use the same sort of grammar, turns of phrase, know this person's background and what topics they're talking about at the moment, like all the time they spend to write something contentious pretending to be that person and create chaos. Like, really? You think that's why people hack? No. You ain't got time for that shit. They want to get into your bank account. They want to get your address book clicking on some horrible kind of link that fucks up their computers and get some access to passwords and banking details. They don't want to hack into someone's fucking YouTube to post something pretending to be them. That's just the most bizarre. This is the problem with YouTube. No one uses logic. And then again, you have all the, oh, there's my mascara. I couldn't find it. I had a spare one in my thing, but then you have all of their subscribers. Oh, you poor thing, you got hacked here. Have some of my hard-earned money to make you feel better. Here's a super chat to, you know, help you recover from this awful, awful experience that somebody managed to get into your computer so they could post nasty things all over your YouTube channel to get you into trouble. So here's some money. I hope you feel better soon. Yep, exactly, Scout. They'll latch onto anything. It's amazing how some cases become so crazy and others don't. Yeah, it is. I think, I hate to say it, but I think there's a sort of a bit of a trendy thing. Like, you know, when Gabby Petito, and that was a really horrible, horrible case. But, you know, a lot of channels at the time were talking about the missing white chick sort of phenomenon. Um, you know, and then that kind of explains the Kylie Rodney thing too, or Summer Worlds, because you look at like little, what was it, Orson and were those boys Worlds as well? The little twins. People fell by the wayside very quickly with that one, but they're just sort of latching onto the, you know, I mean, that discussion even took place in Australia with why everyone got so heavily invested in Jill Maher and Sarah Kafferkey, whereas, you know, a prostitute in Melbourne who'd also been murdered in the same week got fuck all coverage. You know, there's almost sort of like these palatable stories. And then things like Chris Watts. I mean, we had access into their world because Shanann was online so much, and also family annihilators generally fascinate people. But you're right, it is interesting. I mean, that could almost be a topic, or it should be a topic. Maybe we should talk about that one day. And they're not latching onto like the cold cases and people that are still missing either. They'll happily go for years talking about cases that are closed, aka Chris Watts, when they could, all those hours they've spent analysing that case, they could have been covering shitloads of cold cases and putting faces out there and encouraging people to come forward if they know anything. You know, like, it just is weird to me. It's a massive waste of time. You were actually cloned. Oh, well, yeah, cloning's a bit different. So if that's what you meant, but the other one, yeah, I just, with the imposter, I went down the whole my hacked rant. You're in Plumie's chat, you almost pissed yourself? Yeah, pissed yourself. Yeah, Oren and Orson Welles. Did they get nearly as much coverage as Summer Wells? Why do you reckon they didn't? And that's the other thing too. You have cases like Summer Wells where, I mean, she's such a gorgeous little thing, but then the whole family background was, you know, so many people were horrified at the standards and how they lived and, you know, what a bunch of bogans they were. And so they like that, being able to be a bit judgy from their armchairs as well. You know, they liked being able to, oh, there's more to this story because look at how disgusting these people are and how they live their lives. Like, people like to judge. So if there's that sort of element of being able to be highly critical of people in the mix as well. It's quite interesting, just with my channel, how I want to start just speaking up a bit and talking about things and just observations and whatever. A lot of the feedback from all the coverage with the Queen dying, so many Brits, bless you guys, love you groovers, keep saying how they're watching more of the Australian coverage because they love how Aussies have always said what they're thinking because they're so polite and well-mannered. You know, basically they were the well-behaved people that stayed in England and all the naughty ones were sent to Australia and we speak up. But it's so lovely seeing that, you know, they're commenting about how they're really loving the Australian coverage because we're saying what they're thinking and speaking up about Harry and Meghan or whatever it might be. And I didn't sort of realise that it's a bit of a, I mean, I know we speak up here and I know we speak up in a way that we try not to be offensive, but we do speak up. Like, we stick up for our mates and speak up when we think people are being wronged or when people are doing the wrong thing. But yeah, I didn't realise it's sort of almost a cultural difference. Well, it is, according to all these comments and videos and things that I keep listening to, where people are saying, "Oh, thank God for the Aussies who are actually saying what we're all thinking." But I like to think we have a nice way of pitching it too. Like we're not motivated by being judgmental or mean. Going back to that Summer Wells comment I made before. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Isn't that just one of the worst stories ever though? That horrible woman. But again, that one, I mean, ugh, yeah, she gives Letitia just makes me cringe thinking about her. Yeah, exactly, Ozzy. We've got an opportunity to highlight and showcase all these cold cases. You've been watching the coverage on the Australian news. Yeah, good on you. Because even like, think back to when we were talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and there was that fantastic Aussie journo that was really scathing of Amber when the media were being so pro Amber, especially in the US, but even in Australia. A lot of outlets were going down the, this is why we have to listen to women, and people slamming Amber are putting the movement back and everything. And then people that were actually following the case were like, yeah, no, she's a bullshitter, and we do need to listen to victims. And Johnny's the victim here, not her. I mean, I don't think that he was completely innocent in the relationship either. Like, they were a bad pair. But remember, we put that guy on Sky who was really scathing of Amber, and it was so refreshing because everyone was doing the whole, we need to take women seriously. It's like, no, we need to accept that some women are bad news as well. And a lot of people found that really refreshing, that there were journos who were speaking out about how dangerous the Amber Heards of the world are and putting their careers out there and not being scared to speak up. Oh, wow, Ozzy, what one's that? I mean, I will do something about Susan Neil-Fraser because it certainly would be interesting to see how everyone feels about it. And we can kind of tie it in with Teacher's Pet, because if we take the sort of approach that Headley, because the next discussion we'll do about Chris Dawson is about the podcast, but if we take the approach of let's just put it all out there and see how we feel by the end of it, the problem is with Susan Neil-Fraser is that I've gone over and over and over it, and I've talked to people very convinced that she was innocent and people very convinced that she's guilty, and I'm still sitting in the murky middle. So I'd kind of be curious to see how you guys all felt. Johnny Depp is still your dream shag? Really? I'm surprised, Ozzy. No, I'm not. A lot of people feel that way. It's funny because I covered it, people just assumed that I was like hot for Johnny. And yeah, I was when he was in Nightmare on Elm Street or 21 Jump Street or Edward Scissorhands. I don't find old Johnny hot at all. I don't think he's gross, but I've hung around old rockers. I dated one and he just keeps making me think of Jim, and I don't want to think of Jim. But I'd love to get stoned with him sitting around a fire pot. And if we all got naked and had a gangbang, I wouldn't complain. It's a great note to end this live on. There's only one person watching me now. My God. True, Aussie, you're right. Yeah, you are very true. Yeah, look, I mean, any porn storm. I mean, I wouldn't boot him out of bed if he ended up in my bed, except to fuck him on the floor. Oh my God, I've got to go to work. He is adorable. I can't be thinking this way. I've got to log off. Boo boo. But yeah, gangbang. If everyone's consenting, there's nothing criminal about it. It doesn't mean what some of you people on YouTube think it means. So yeah, rather than telling us all we had bad childhoods and we don't have any morals or ethics, learn your terms. And anyone out there who finds themselves in a cheeky little gangbang today, I hope you consent and have the time of your life. And on that note, stay groovy, everyone.
You want to go very soon. I don't know how I can redeem myself from this life. I love you guys. Off we go to work. Take care. Stay groovy.